Let's add a simple block entity to our Minecraft mod. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x all in one place, linked down below in the description. Alright, my friends, back at you more, and in this tutorial we'll be adding a custom and simple block entity to our Minecraft mod. And the first question you might ask is, what is even a block entity? Now, probably you won't ask that, but I will explain regardless. A block entity is basically a sort of slight extension to a block that allows you to save some additional data on it. For example, an inventory. Oh, yep, indeed. That is the whole idea of a block entity. And for our purposes, we're going to make a simple one. This is, once again, a sort of 2-3-ish porter, because we're going to turn the pedestal into a block entity that we can right click with an item, and then the item is going to appear on the pedestal. However, the appearance of the item is only going to happen in the next tutorial, because for that we need a block entity renderer, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. So right now we'll be able to click on a pedestal, it's going to save the item, we're not going to see anything, but we can then retrieve it again. So it's going to be a little bit weird, but it is going to work, and it's going to be pretty cool. Let's start off. We already have the pedestal block. Hopefully you already have that as well. If not, you can create it. As always, all of the code is available to you down below. Let's go ahead and see. This is going to be a base entity block. That's going to be the new block that we need to, or the new class that we need to extend from. And then let's implement the two methods, the new block entity method as well as the codec method. The codec method is going to need a codec, so that's going to be the following. We're going to have a private static map codec over here of type pedestal block, and that's going to be equal to simple codec pedestal block quote unquote new, and we're simply going to return that. Very straightforward, nothing crazy in this case. On the new block entity, we're going to make a deliberate error because, well, that's actually what we're going to need in this case, because we haven't created the block entity class, and I always highly recommend, because in these more, let's say, intermediate advanced topics, it is much better to go through this and make deliberate errors along the way, because we're going to need to go through, all of the classes once basically, and then go back and do it again. So that's why I highly recommend you do the deliberate error strat, so to speak. We can also already overwrite the player destroy method as well as the use item on method. Now, we're not going to implement anything into that just yet, but we have them already, and we will do so in, well, a little bit. Right, then we get to the block entity, the heart of this. In the tutorial mod block package, we're going to make a new package called entity, and then inside of there, we'll make one new Java class, which is the mod block entities class. This is the mod block entities class. There we go. And we'll do another one, which is the custom package over here. This is where all the custom block entity classes go, and that's going to be the pedestal block entity over here. There we go. So, like I said, the block entity class is just a class that allows you to sort of extend the amount of data that a single block can sort of save. This will extend from the block entity class, that's correct, and it will also implement the container single item, that block container single item. Sounds a little bit crazy, but it's basically just an interface that allows you to, well, it's a container, right? So we can now add items into this, and the idea is that with this, we will be able to save an item in there. That's the whole idea. We can even, implement the methods, and you can see there's the set item and the get item. Because it's a single item container, we're only going to save a single item in there, and that's sort of all pre-programmed. We also need to override the get container block entity over here, where we are just going to return this. So that one is very straightforward. On the other two, we'll get to that in a second. First of all, let's hover over this to create constructor matching super, where we need to actually change the constructor. So we need to remove the block entity type right here, and then of course the type is missing right here, and that's exactly right, because we will need to use our registered type here, but we will do that once we actually register it. So for the time being, we're going to keep it like this, and that's going to be okay. Now, to save an inventory, we will use a public non-null list over here of type item stack. That is exactly right, and this is going to be the inventory equal to non-null list with size. It's going to be size 1, and the default is going to be item stack empty. That's exactly right. So this is basically going to be a list where each of the different individual parts is never going to be null. So it's always going to have an item stack, and by default, it's an empty item stack. So there's nothing inside of this block entity in the very beginning. And when we get the item, well, then what we're going to do is we're just going to do inventory inventory.getFirst because, well, there we go. That's going to be that one. And when we set the item, what we're going to do is we're going to call the setChanged method. That's just a method that basically tells the game, hey, this something changed here, so we need to make sure that, you know, other blocks and the client and things like that, all of them are notified that a change has occurred. And then we will do inventory.set, and we're going to do the following. We're going to do itemStack.copy with count of 1. Now, the reason why I'm doing this in this way is because what I want to do is when I right click with an item stack that has 64 items in it, I don't want to just take the entire item stack of 64 items and save it in this inventory, because I want only one singular item to ever exist in this pedestal block entity. And I don't mean just like one item type. I mean one like instant, one diamond, right? It's one diamond, one iron ingot. It's not two iron ingots at the same time. It's one of them. And that's why I copy it with a count of 1. That's the idea with the set item. The shrinking of the item stack is going to happen in the block itself when we right click this. So that's going to be fine. We're also going to overwrite the clear content method over here. I do wonder what it does in the super over here. Remove the item, which is split the item, get item. Okay. I mean, I guess you could do that. But what we're just going to do is we're just going to say inventory.set. We're going to set the item of index 0, which is obviously the one that we have right over our list, to exactly that was actually right. The item stack empty. Awesome. And we get to some more interesting and important methods. The next one is going to be the public void drops method over here, where we will call the containers class, containers.drop contents, passing in this.level, passing in this.world position, and then this.inventory. Idea here being that this is going to drop all of the contents of this when you call the drops method. And we're going to call that drops method when we destroy the block, meaning that it's going to drop its entire inventory. That's what the drops method is for. Then we get to a couple more very, very important methods that are, well, they are just extremely important. Now, the first 3 that I'm going to add at the very end over here, this is going to be our block entity sync methods, right? So those are going to be the 3 at the very bottom. I highly recommend you just copy them over. They're basically always going to be the same, but I will, of course, write them out over here. So this is going to be the setChanged method. I'm going to override that. We're still going to call the super, but we'll also say if level.is client side, and then we're going to negate it. So we have the exclamation mark here in the beginning. Then we say level.send a block update, and this is actually exactly correct. So we're going to do this at this position over here, right? So this is the world position that the block entity is in. We're going to give it both states, so the state does not change, and then we're updating it with a 3, meaning it's going to update everything, including the server and the client and all clients, and everything is fine. Then we want to override the get update tag method, and we also want to override the get update packet method. The packet one is super easy. That is the client bound block entity data packet dot create, and then passing in this exactly right. And then here in the get update, we're going to call the save without metadata, passing in the registries right here, and there we go. Like I said, those are needed for some synchronization stuff. It is actually quite important, and there we go. And then we don't need to even look at those anymore. Highly recommend it. Of course, if you are interested in, how they work, you can always go up the chain over here to see, like, for example, the block entity, see what this is called. All of those things absolutely open to you, but that is the idea. And the last 2 methods that we need are for saving. So this is going to be saving data over here. And the idea is, sure, we have a list right now, but what happens with this list if we just jump out of the world, right? What happens when we save the world? Well, right now, nothing. But luckily, we can call the save additional and the load additional methods, which are going to be doing exactly this. They are going to save our data in whatever way we want. Now, to save an inventory, super straightforward. We can use the container helper class and then save all items, passing in the output, the value output parameter, as well as this.inventory. And the same thing goes in the load over here. There's going to be container helper.load all items, where we pass in the input and then this.inventory. Very straightforward indeed. There we go. And this is also going to make sure that if we leave the server or the world and we come back, that everything is still saved. That is the entirety of the block entity class over here. Of course, this error we're going to fix in a second, but generally speaking, that is the inventory right here. And we've defined how to, interface with the inventory, right? We get the item, we can set the item, we can clear the contents, and also it in theory can drop. It's going to save the data, and then there's some blocks, block entity synchronization stuff that we also need, which is important in that case. Right, we then go to the mod block entities class to actually register the block entity. First thing, of course, a public static void register block entities over here with a tutorial mod.logger info call registering mod block entities, and then for the tutorial mod.mod ID here in this case. Also, this has to be called register, or it doesn't have to be, but it would be kind of nice. Let's call the register method over here as well. It's going to be the mod block entities dot register block entities. Absolutely fantastic. And then we can register our block entity. Very straightforward. Public static final. There's going to be a block entity type of type, and this is the block entity class that we've created. So of type pedestal block entity. This is going to be our pedestal underscore BE equal to registry. We're making sure here, super important, making sure we choose net Minecraft core and then dot register with the built-in registries dot block entity type, identifier from namespace and path with tutorial mod ID, and this is the pedestal underscore BE. Then after the first closing parenthesis, we want to use the fabric block entity type builder dot create, exactly right. Inside of here, pedestal block entity : new, then mod blocks dot pedestal, and that is going to be quite important. And then it's actually called pedestal block, that's fine as well. And then the dot build, and then we're good to go. That is the very basic setup on how to register the block entity. We can then go back to the block entity class in the side of the super, call mod block entities dot pedestal BE. That's going to finish the block entity class. We then go back to the pedestal block class, where in the new block entity, we're going to make a new pedestal block entity, passing in the world position, passing in the block state, and there we go. Very straightforward as well. And now the only two methods remaining are the player destroy and the right-clicking functionality using the use item on method. In the player destroy, we're going to say if the level is not, so basically, okay, we're just going to write this out and then we're going to see. So it's going to be if the level dot get block entity at this particular position is an instance of a pedestal block entity, and then we're going to cast it to a pedestal block entity as well. If that is the case, this is the block state, but I actually want the block entity over here. There we go. If that is the case, then we're going to say pedestal block entity drops over here. Boom. And we can also do level dot update neighbors for output signal at this position and saying this has changed. I'm not 100% sure if this is strictly necessary, but I think it should be fine to do this as well. So that's going to basically make it so that when we destroy the pedestal block, it's going to drop the contents. Okay, so far so good. And now we get through some very interesting things, and that is the right-clicking functionality. Here, it's very important that we're going to go through each individual step, and you'll see sort of like what we have to do. So first things first, we'll do the same thing that we've done before. That is level.get block entity over here at this position. If this is an instance of the pedestal block entity, so instance of pedestal block entity, we're casting it to a pedestal block entity. Okay, that's pretty good. And that's the first step. At the very bottom over here, instead of calling the super, we're just going to do an interaction result of success so that we get the right-clicking animation. That's going to be fine. And now inside of this if statement, that is where the magic happens. We're going to get ourselves a Boolean over here. This Boolean is going to be is pedestal empty. Just makes it a little bit easier. And we're going to call the pedestal block entity that is empty method. I mean, that is, I think, so far so good. Nothing too crazy. Now, there's two different sort of modes that we have. There's an insert as well as an extract, right? So idea being that when we are right-clicking the pedestal block entity with an item and there's no item in the pedestal block entity, we want to place the item onto it. Now, if there already is an item on the pedestal, we just want to extract it. That's why we have sort of two different ideas here. So we're going to have the first one, which is going to be the if is pedestal empty. And it's also important, the item that we've just right-clicked with, which is the item stack right here, that can't be empty, right? So item stack can't be empty. Exactly right. So that's the idea here for the first if statement. So far should be more or less self-explanatory. We will then call the pedestal block entity that set the item over here and pass in the item stack. This is going to duplicate the item stack and set it to 1. So we now need to shrink this by 1 by doing item stack.shrink by 1. There we go. And we also want to give some feedback to the player, very important, and that is going to be level.play sound. We want to play the sound for player at the position sound events.item pickup is what we're going to play right here. And we're going to do this with a sound source of blocks. So there's a sound source of blocks, volume 1, pitch 2 here in this case. And there we go. That's the idea for inserting a particular item. And we're going to do an else if statement. And that's going to be if the pedestal is not empty and the rest doesn't matter. So we can do this with an empty item stack. We can do this with a non-empty item stack, doesn't matter. But we do want to make sure that basically there's something in the pedestal. If that's the case, we can get an item stack of this. So there's going to be the stack on a pedestal equal to the pedestal block entity that gets the item this time. Okay. We will then clear the pedestal block entity clear content. So we now have the stack from the pedestal. We have cleared the contents. We know what it is. And then the idea is as follows. And this is a really, really cool method. We can do if, notice the exclamation mark, negation, player.getInventory.add, and then we add the stack on the pedestal over here. And you might say, that's a weird way to do it. Yes. If this is true, we do drop stack on pedestal thrown from hand. This sort of construction here is really cool because it tries to add whatever stack we have onto a stack if it already exists. So let's say we have 13 gold blocks and there's a gold block on the pedestal block that we right click on, and that will first try to add it into our inventory, and it's going to search basically for the first sort of valid slot, and that is going to be the first valid slot. It's going to add it to the stack that you already have, which I think is really freaking cool. We will then also play a sound. So I'm just going to copy over the same sound method right here with a pitch of 1 so that it sounds distinct here in this case. And that's pretty much it. That's the logic over here. Obviously, this is very important. This is one particular way of implementing one particular thing. If you have a completely different logic, right? If you're like, oh, but my block entity is supposed to do XYZ, then you need to implement that in a different way, right? This is one example of a simple block entity with one specific sort of way of implementing it. The things that stay the same are the idea that you have to register the block entity, and you have to do it with the mod block entities class, and you have to create the block entity class as well, and the way to combine this basically, right? To make the new block entity. These things will always stay the same. Now, having done all of this, this is actually everything we need. So I would say, let's jump into the game and see if it works. All right, found it back in Minecraft, and let's just set down a couple of pedestals right here. And if I right click it with a diamond, look at this. Boom, the diamond is gone. However, if I right click it again, I get my diamond back. Isn't that just amazing? And I can do this. And if I, right click it again with an item, it always basically returns to me the item that was already on there, right? So you can see, there we go. And if I were to save and go back into the world again, you'll find, not to worry, I can get every single item back. Easy enough. That is the block entity right now. Visually, not really that appealing. I will admit, right? So it would of course be very cool if there was an item that's floating on top of it. If only we would add this in the next tutorial. That's exactly what we're going to do. Oh, that's going to be so cool. As always, all of the code is available to you down below, but that's going to be it for this tutorial right here. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for the support on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Don't forget, if you join as a Stonebricks member on YouTube, you can get up to 14 days of early access, which includes this video right here. Oh, we'll spruce up the block entity with a block entity renderer. Hope to see you there. So yeah.